Just tell us, because I know people are a bit confused about this sometimes, because there are so many agencies that deal with the highways one way or another. What is the remit of National Highways?
The remit of National Highways is to maintain, operate, design the 4,300 miles of motorway and what we call all-purpose trunk roads, APTR, so the big fast A roads between towns and cities, on behalf of the Department of Transport.
Enforcement, roadside enforcement, is that something you do?
No, we have absolutely no enforcement powers at all. Having said that, given the fact that we have a remit for safety on our network, we do work with enforcement partners to facilitate their operations and support them, but ourselves, no, we have no enforcement powers at all.
Okay, you've spoken today about tramline. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, tramline, we've been doing it for about 8 years now, since 2015, and it was really just in response to asks from the various police forces around the country about, look, you know, we could do with some kit, we could do with some a vehicle, started off with one, to help us better identify some of the poor driving behaviours on our network. And although the cab is modified, it's no more than an elevated camera platform at the end of the day.
So just describe that for me. What does it look like? Where's it situated? How does it operate?
Okay. Notionally, we've got 3 cabs at the moment, one north, one Midlands, one south. We will move them around. Their utilisation is pretty high. They're out with a force most weeks. The cabs are modified in so much as the speed limiters are switched off on them, which allows them to make progress, I think is probably the best way of putting it. They'll do about 80-85 mile an hour if we push them, but you run out of fuel fairly quickly if you do that, and nerve, to be honest. They've also got blue lights, not that they're used for any other reason, but if they happen to come across an incident, it gives the officers the ability to turn the blues on. The main adaptation from an enforcement stroke engagement point of view is they've got 360-degree high resolution enforcement standard cameras with an encrypted secure hard drive, so the police can prosecute off the record from that if they need to, but usually it's from the officer in the second seat, in the passenger seat, using a GoPro to identify issues. So there's a degree of modification to them just to allow the police to do their job a little bit more efficiently.
So if you see someone offending and you've got it on video, you pass that to the police and the police prosecute on the basis of that?
Yeah, fundamentally, yeah. The police, when the cabs are out, they're normally accompanied with 4, 5, 6 interceptors, so there'll be cars and bikes out there, which will pull the driver in, usually to a nearby MSA where the police will deal with it appropriately, which could be a prosecution, it could be a fixed penalty, it could be words of advice.
Okay. Tell us about power of procurement and what that means for you.
Power of procurement is a phrase we're using internally quite a lot. And it's about that recognition that actually organisations have got an enormous influence on the way that not only their own people drive on the network, but also their suppliers, their supply chain, etc., etc. And what we're really trying to get across is that it's basic health and safety management. One of the things that fascinates me and terrifies me, I guess in relatively equal amounts, are the number of very health and safety robust organisations who have massively health and safety secure offices, production facilities, construction sites, who, to be a little bit flippant, fundamentally lob somebody a set of keys, pat them on the head and wish them the best of luck. Their health and safety obligations extend out onto the road, into road risk, exactly the same way from a legal point of view as they do anywhere else. And of course, being health and safety legislation, that extends through to their supply chain, their contractors. And that's really what we're trying to set a light under, really, is to get organisations who do know how to manage their health and safety very, very well, to realise that they've got a whole area of it which they can potentially improve upon, which will give us some significant benefits in terms of road safety.
And what's Ping?
Ping is a very badly named project of ours. Ping came from the realisation that we have cameras and systems on our network which are used for enforcement. We have others which give us monitoring information, but even the ones that are used for enforcement in conjunction with our enforcement partners aren't actually used that much. They're probably active less than 10% of the time. They're capturing data mostly 24/7. So having come from the industry, my premise was, look, most operators I know would love to know what we've spotted their vehicles up to when they're around the corner outside. So it's a very, very straightforward premise. It's an opt-in which gets us around any of the GDPR issues. We'll let you know what we spot. And probably the best way I can sum it up to your viewers, Rod, is Ping is a funny name for a project. It was originally called Project CISO, until I had to admit that CISO stood for Sort Your Stuff Out. There is a different version, But SISO sort your stuff out, and that is exactly what it is. We'll let you know what we've spotted, you sort it out, we all live happily ever after.
So that isn't an enforcement thing, that's just you're telling an operator that there's a problem that you've spotted, rather than you're telling the police.
Absolutely right. It's not an enforcement, it's an engagement issue. I've got to be clear.
Yeah.
If the kit is being used for enforcement at the time that the vehicle transgresses, the gloves are off, it'll be dealt with as with any other enforcement prosecution. What we're saying is where we have intelligence, if you want to call it that, which isn't being used for enforcement, we will let you know. And, you know, clearly there's a quid pro quo with this. We'll let you know. We're expecting you to do something about it. We're expecting to see an improvement. And our experience to date is it has a significant deterrent effect once drivers within an organisation realise that, you know, to an extent we have eyes on.
Can you give us an example of the sort of thing that you would be tipping people off about?
Yeah, we're using quite a bit of our future compliance technology trial equipment at the moment, and some of your viewers may have seen, there's been a fair bit of press coverage about it, some kit that we've got which is pretty decent at identifying handheld mobile phone use, non-seatbelt wear, and it'll pick speed up as well, not to enforcement standards, but that's a good example.
If I had the power of magic, which I don't, what would be the one thing that I could grant you as a wish today?
I think we've touched on it already, Rod, to be honest, which is for organisations to take their health and safety obligations as seriously out on the road as they do within their premises. 5 people will typically die on our roads today, another 50 or 60 will suffer serious life-changing injuries. And it's unacceptable, it's personal, that's families who are devastated, that's people's lives who are changed. And actually, if we applied health and safety legislation to vehicles that are being driven for work, cars, vans and trucks, my view is we'd be a fair way down the line in terms of remedying some of those horrible statistics.
Mark, thank you very much indeed.
Later,
That's
Rod.
great, thank you.
Good.